The morning sun streamed through the lace curtains, casting a soft glow across the kitchen. Margaret carefully placed a plate of pancakes in front of her grandson, Ethan, who sat eagerly bouncing in his chair. The smell of syrup and butter filled the air, mingling with the faint scent of fresh coffee. It was a typical morning, calm, cozy, and comforting. "Grandma, can I have extra syrup?" Ethan asked, his face already sticky with the first drizzle. "Of course, sweetheart," Margaret replied, smiling as she poured a little more. She loved these small moments, the laughter of her grandson and the quiet companionship of her daughter, Lily. Then, without warning, Ethan blurted out something that made Margaret freeze. "Grandma, Daddy does something weird in your car after he drops you off." Margaret's hand trembled slightly as she set the syrup aside. "What do you mean, honey?" she asked, trying to keep her voice calm. Ethan shrugged, unconcerned. "Sometimes he sits there for a long time. Sometimes he talks to someone on the phone. Last time I saw a lady get in. They laughed a lot." Margaret forced a gentle laugh and brushed it off as a child's misunderstanding, but her stomach tightened. Something about the way Ethan said it, so casually yet so certain, gnawed at her. Later, when Tom, her son-in-law, arrived to drive her to the community center, Margaret noticed small, unsettling things. He seemed more distracted than usual, checking his phone frequently. A faint, unfamiliar scent lingered in the car, floral, expensive, and out of place. Even his smile felt forced, polite but distant. After he dropped her off, she lingered near the car, pretending to adjust her bag. Tom didn't leave immediately. Instead, he sat behind the wheel, leaning back and speaking softly into his phone. Margaret's heart raced. Could Ethan have been right? That evening, she checked the car more thoroughly. Everything seemed in order, except for that faint perfume scent, which refused to fade. Margaret tried to convince herself she was imagining things, but doubt had taken root. Later, as she watched the street from her window, the quiet of the night amplified her unease. The thought of betrayal, subtle, hidden, and cruel, made her hands tighten into fists. For the first time in years, Margaret felt a spark of something sharper than worry. "I'll find out what's really going on," she whispered to herself. That night, sleep came fitfully, haunted by the innocent words of a child that carried a weight no adult should ignore. Something in her family was off, and Margaret, calm and loving as she had always been, felt the first flicker of determination, the determination to protect her daughter and grandson, no matter the cost. The days that followed felt heavier than usual. Every morning, Margaret tried to dismiss Ethan's words as a child's imagination, but the unease lingered. She noticed subtle signs she had once ignored. Tom's distracted glances at his phone, the faint floral scent in her car, and the slight hesitation whenever Lily mentioned family plans. Each detail added to a puzzle she hadn't wanted to see. Determined to uncover the truth, Margaret ordered a small dash camera online, explaining to Tom that it was for safety. He helped her install it, completely unaware that he was enabling his own exposure. For several days, the footage showed nothing unusual, just regular drives to the community center or the grocery store. Margaret watched patiently, pretending to be unconcerned. But one afternoon, she noticed a break in his usual route. After dropping her off, he didn't drive home. Her heart pounded as she clicked the footage. There he was, Tom, leaning toward a young woman in a bright red coat, their laughter filling the car. He kissed her cheek softly, his voice low and intimate. Margaret's hands trembled, and she pressed them to her mouth. The betrayal was worse than she'd feared. She didn't confront him. Instead, she quietly gathered evidence. Bank statements showing unauthorized withdrawals, credit card charges for restaurants Lily had never visited, and small gifts hidden in the trunk. Each piece told the same story. Her son-in-law Law was cheating on her daughter and using her trust and her assets to fund it. Margaret tucked the evidence into a folder, hiding it among Ethan's school papers. The calm grandmother everyone knew masked a storm of resolve inside her. She watched Tom closely, noting every lie, every carefully timed excuse. At night, Margaret sat by the window, staring into the quiet street. Her heart ached for her daughter, who remained oblivious, believing in the man she loved, but beneath her grief burned determination. She would not allow this betrayal to continue. Margaret whispered to the darkness, "I will protect my family. I will see this through." The threads of deception had revealed themselves. Now it was time for strategy, patience, and the sweet justice that awaited those who thought they could hide their sins. Margaret spent the next week carefully planning her next move. She wasn't impulsive. Revenge, she knew, was most powerful when executed with patience. Every detail of Tom's secret life had been recorded. The dashcam footage, the bank statements, the receipts, even the messages he thought were private. Each piece of evidence was a key to exposing him, and Margaret was ready to turn the lock. The perfect opportunity came when Lily and Tom's wedding anniversary approached. Margaret suggested a dinner at her home, just a quiet celebration with family and a few friends. Then, subtly, she encouraged Tom to invite his mistress, Jessica, under the pretense of discussing a new business opportunity. On the night of the dinner, Margaret played her part flawlessly. Candles flickered on the dining table, the smell of roasted herbs and fresh bread filling the air. Lily, radiant and unsuspecting, complimented her mother on the decor. Tom, dressed in his best suit, was confident, his arrogance masking nothing. Then the doorbell rang. Margaret opened it to reveal Jessica, looking both excited and slightly nervous. Margaret greeted her warmly, ushering her inside. "I'm so glad you could come. Tom has spoken so highly of you," she said, her voice sweet but edged with steel. As everyone took their seats, Margaret calmly connected her dashcam to the television. The screen flickered to life, revealing what she had captured. Tom in her car with Jessica, laughing, touching, and kissing her cheek. Gasps filled the room. Lily's eyes widened in disbelief, her hand flying to her mouth. Tom's confident expression faltered, a flash of panic crossing his face. Margaret then presented the bank statements, the unauthorized withdrawals, the charges for dinners, the gifts purchased with money he had stolen. The room grew silent, the weight of betrayal pressing down on everyone. Jessica, realizing she had been lured into a trap, stood abruptly. I didn't know," she stammered, her face pale. She bolted from the room, humiliated. Tom, now exposed, could not speak. Margaret's voice was calm but cutting. "You used my trust, my home, my family, and thought I would never see. I saw everything." Lily's tears fell freely as Margaret drew her close. For the first time, the grandmother she had always been gentle, loving, forgiving, revealed a sharper, more formidable side. Tom's deceit had been laid bare, and Margaret had orchestrated it with precision. That night, Tom left, his double life shattered. Margaret's home, once heavy with suspicion, now felt lighter. She had protected her daughter and grandson, and justice, quiet and deliberate, had been served. The morning after the dinner, Margaret's house felt lighter, almost peaceful. The tension that had gripped every corner seemed to have lifted, replaced by the quiet warmth of truth and relief. Lily sat at the breakfast table, her eyes red from tears but shining with newfound clarity. "Mom, I don't even know how to thank you," she whispered, clutching Margaret's hand. "If you hadn't uncovered this, I might still be living in a lie." Margaret smiled softly, brushing her daughter's hair back. "You would have figured it out eventually," she said. "I just made sure the truth reached you before it hurt more than it had to." Ethan, oblivious to the adult turmoil, bounced in his chair with a toy car in hand. "Grandma, did Daddy stop doing weird stuff in your car?" he asked innocently. Margaret laughed, her heart lightening. Yes, sweetheart. Daddy won't be doing anything like that ever again. In the weeks that followed, the stolen money was recovered, the business accounts secured, and the divorce finalized. Tom's reputation in the community crumbled, and Jessica, his former mistress, quietly disappeared. Margaret never gloated. She didn't need to. The quiet, measured justice she had orchestrated was sweeter than any outburst or confrontation. Margaret spent her days focusing on Lily and Ethan, savoring their laughter and the simple joys of family life. One sunny morning, as she drove Ethan to school, she glanced in the rearview mirror and smiled at his carefree grin. The car was clean, the past left behind, and the family she loved was safe. Later, as Margaret and Lily sat together on the porch, sipping tea, Lily whispered, "Mom, you taught me something important. Love isn't just forgiveness. Sometimes it's seeing the truth and standing strong." Margaret nodded, her eyes shining. "Yes, my dear, and sometimes the sweetest justice is quiet, careful, and protective. It keeps the people you love safe." Ethan tugged on her sleeve. "Grandma, can we have pancakes again tomorrow?" Margaret chuckled, her laughter warm and full. "Of course, my little man, of course." In that moment, Margaret knew the betrayal had not destroyed them. Instead, it had revealed the strength, courage, and love that held her family together. The storm had passed, and what remained was love, trust, and the quiet power of a grandmother who would stop at nothing to protect her family. Her family was safe, her home was peaceful, and the justice she had delivered, silent, sweet, and complete, was a testament to the strength of love and the wisdom of patience.